And the more I talk about it, the more I realize, like, I'm not a dumb person, but it just never dawned on me the things that you have to now investigate.
Wow. Welcome back. That was a clip from the viral TikTok series, Who the Bleep Did I Marry? Rejoining us, Reesa, Teesa, the woman behind this series has captivated everyone. So a lot of this that you've outlined in your TikTok series, but I'm curious, so you move in how soon again, remind me?
Okay.
Which is okay.
We moved fast. So we met the beginning of March, and by the end of March, we decided to quarantine together because Georgia was going into lockdown.
And I asked that question not to judge you because my husband and I moved in 3 weeks. Like, so I understand things can go fast. And now you're in COVID and you go in and you move in fast. Things are still going good.
They're going well. And so well, I ended up pregnant in May.
You ended up pregnant in May. And around that time, that's when the conversation about a house came into play.
Yes, ma'am.
And he provided this statement saying he'd qualify for $750,000 mortgage. People go get a pre-qual letter all the time. So again, this is all seeming legitimate.
Right.
When you went in to look at a house, I think you found one, right? That
yes,
you
ma'am.
liked.
Yes.
And was he leading the way in getting the home and qualifying and dealing with the real estate agent?
So he was choosing houses. The one that he initially put an offer in on is a house that I chose. But he was choosing houses. We were sending it to the realtor. He was saying, you know, we would walk around the house and he's like, okay, I want to make this my man cave. I want to do, he was picturing how, you know, it would be for us to live there. So again, I believed what I saw. I believed the letter that was in my hand that I had read.
You were invested in this relationship. I want to play a clip that stood out to me. Let's play it.
And every time I would question it in my head, the other side of me was like, okay, you know he ain't lying about the money because you saw it. So you know he ain't lying. Girl, are you that... Like, I remember saying to myself, are you that jaded that you don't even know what it's like to have a decent man?
Wow. That stuck out to me because your spidey senses start going off, but your other side saying, girl, don't think everything is, it's not bad. Let go, let love in, trust that it's okay, right? So much so that with these little red flags, you decide to go ahead and get married.
Yes.
You got married January 2021, 11 months after. So where this starts to unravel, you got a job, it required a background check. You had to apply, and then he had to give his social security number, even though it was a job for you.
Correct.
The social security number that he wrote down did not match the one that you were called on your marriage license.
Correct.
Which I think is great detective. I was like, I don't know if I would have noticed that.
At this point, by the time the job came along, there were so many things happening that I started noticing everything. Keep in mind, and I feel like it's important to admit this, there were red flags from the beginning. And I ignored them, and I ignored them. And God kept giving more red flags, more warnings. And I ignored them because I wanted what I wanted. And that's why I said in the video series, it was more important to get what I want than to be obedient. And it cost me. So by the time the new job came along and I was able to go ahead and apply and I needed his social, so many things, that's the United Nations of red flags. So many things had happened to where, okay, what is going on?
Yeah.
And I just had no idea the depth of it.
So we also did a background check on both of you, but there are no surprises.
No.
Wait, full disclosure, we do background checks on all of our guests on the show, and we could not find any evidence that he went to school in San Diego. We could not find him on any arena football team roster. We could not find any previous California address for him. You did that on your own, which again, I give you credit for going in because there's a fight or flight, right? There's an embarrassment, there's a shame, there's all of these things you can feel in a moment like this when you have the United Nations of red flags, as you pointed out, but you started to do your due diligence. You're using these resources and you're uncovering. I've watched the videos. I want to know really and truly what you did not record that you're willing to share about the sense of betrayal. Because you have a great sense of humor, you still have a great wall, you are resilient, I can see it. But I know that this from what you've told me, I just wanted this love, this fairy tale. There had to be a lot of tears.
Yeah. Yeah. The one thing that I did not put in there, I hit on it, but I did not go in depth. The part for me that I don't talk about because I don't want, I guess I don't want to be that vulnerable. I don't want someone to make fun of it, is the fact that once I discovered that, no, he's not a regional manager. He's not a VP of production or operations. He was just a regular employee. The dominoes started falling. And one of those dominoes was the realization that you did not have a business meeting when I had to go to the hospital. You simply were not there. So when I was texting you and I was terrified, I'm texting you that I'm in pre-op and I'm so scared because I just don't know what's gonna happen. And David texted me back. There came a moment where once I discovered all the lies that I realized you really left me hanging when I needed you the most. And on so many levels, I can honestly sit here and tell you that is the one thing that I struggle to forgive because it's already hard. There was so much fear. Like I felt like, first of all, I felt like a failure because my body did not go to term.
I should tell people, for those of you who do not know, the pregnancy ended. You lost the baby.
So again, I take myself back to when I discovered there was no David. So you were pretending to be someone else, texting me when I was in pre-op, telling you I'm scared, I love you, because I text all this, I love you, if anything happened, like, anyway, because it takes me back there. So.
Oh. And that's the real part of this story. And that's why I wanted you on, because look, you can watch the 10 hours and you can hear a lot of what you've already said, but I knew that there was more. And I know that there has to be tears. I also know that there has to be a level of fear. And when you detail, after you found out he had a criminal record, he'd gone away for a while, he came back, even though you said, I don't want any parts of you.
Right.
And you came back home and he was parked in that driveway. That is dangerous.
Right.
You know, we can talk about the red flags. Someone you've told, I'm divorcing you, leave me alone, I will call the police, still in your driveway, waiting for you.
Yes.
Is scary.
Yes.
And you don't talk a lot about that fear, I've noticed.
I didn't. It was terrifying. I know that I did state in the video series, I was terrified to go home. And that is something no one should ever have to experience. Being afraid to go to what should be your peace, should be your solitude, should be your sanctuary. He had been threatening that he was going to come back. So I had reached out to law enforcement, and I talk about in the video series where it was the police captain, when I called him after I called 911, police captain immediately answered the phone and he said, I got the call, we're on our way, we got you. So this was now another example of someone else saying, I got you. And I was like, God, please, I hope he really does have me. But he did. And I stayed in my car.
And you were afraid for your life at times?
I was afraid of the unknown. Like this got to get out my house, yeah.